I'm hearing a lot of people talk about this, and we don't know anything really. As the general public, we don't know anything about Kyle Crooks yet, right? I mean, we know he was in Florida for 8 years. That's about all we know, right?
Yeah.
People still seem to have a lot of opinions about a thing they don't know anything about.
Although I will say his list of references
Pretty good.
was incredible. I'm it was, and a lot of time, and people are different with using references.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use them, some people don't. You're obviously going to call people that say good things about you, probably. Um, but fudge, just like, yeah. I mean, if you're going to pick up the phone and call Iron Eagle and say, "Hey,"
It's a pretty good one to have.
it's just is.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I just was thinking about the voice and listening to the tapes a couple months ago versus the guys that they flew in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have a good voice.
Do you remember him standing out when you're listening to tapes?
Yeah, there were I think 4, maybe 5.
Yeah.
There was a 5th that I liked. And I think 3 of the 5 of us were like, probably needs to make the cut.
Yeah.
Now came with some different things,
Mm-hmm.
right, that we'd have to negotiate. But yeah, I remember the voice clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
What man, we don't have to get too into the weeds here.
Oh, you can talk about what you want.
But like what kind of stood out to you about Kyle as opposed to the other kid? Because you brought up
Are we talking about just his voice or in the interview?
No, I mean like the whole process, right? Because like you said, a lot of people have a good voice, so it has to be a lot more than that. Like a lot of people can call a game reasonably well. Although I do think it's harder than we give it credit for sometimes. But there had to have been more than that, right? I'm sure this is a pretty big job. I assume there were a lot of qualified candidates.
Yeah.
Like what kind of stood out about him to you?
So if I'll keep it a buck. I think the number one thing was I felt like he would be a good teammate.
Oh yeah,
he was very,
because you guys have a very collaborative environment.
You feel that, right?
With you and Jess and Ben, like that's
yeah,
Like,
right.
I mean, I can tell the way you guys talk to each other. Like I've never been there. Like I don't.
It's chemistry. It's chemistry, right?
I don't sit in there and like. To be fair, I've never even been down to your booth.
Yeah.
I walk to the place where they have the food and then I turn right back around. I don't go all the way down the hallway.
Yeah.
But you can tell, like when we talk to Ben, when we talk to Jess, like when we would talk to Greg, obviously there was a lot of like camaraderie there, right? So that makes sense that that's the first thing you would say.
That was the number one thing that I saw the first time around. I'm like I think he's a team player. And you know, the magic, having been here my whole life, the magic is connectivity.
Yeah.
It's not I mean, we'll grow to like the voice, or we'll get used to the voice or the cadence or whatever. But it's the connectivity of who's talking, are they connecting with who's listening?
Oh, and you heard him say that in the clip that Shane said.
There's over the last handful of years, especially with the new technology, and apparently people were liking the broadcasts, and I think we benefited from, Jess and I got there about the same time. I think we benefited from Nebraska being on some networks and on some games where fans had kind of grown to not like.
Oh, the television announcers?
Yeah.
So they switched to you.
So we were
for the audio.
we were fortunate.
Yeah.
I think we caught a couple of breaks, and people liked it, and so then it just kind of became this thing. Messages. Oh, got to sync it and do it like this, and we'd see it every pregame show, and Greg's heart would just swell, and it was cool, right? It was like, all right, we get along, right? We eat together, walk together. Sometimes people have to drive me together, whatever, right? It's chemistry.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily all the individual talent by themselves is the greatest, because you're going to stumble.
But collaboratively,
we see this on television. We see people go for names, and they they missed the chemistry.
It's ESPN versus Inside the NBA.
Like it just
right?
doesn't 100%.
ESPN's been trying to compete with that show for 2 decades.
You
maybe
can get a better analyst. You maybe can get a better voice. You maybe can get a better facilitator individually.
But the chemistry
that those guys have is
unmatched.
You can't replicate it. I mean, it's just what it is. But anyway, so he was a team player. You know, I'm kind of whispering to the crew. I'm like, man, I think we could get along. Like, that's the start. The tape was the tape. His voice was sensational. A couple of things behind the scenes is he's exceptionally creative.
Okay.
He's very good as an engineer, too.
Oh, that's helpful.
It's incredible. He's talented. He's smart. Like, he could look at this board and be just fine by himself. But he doesn't want to be by himself, because sometimes you get those guys and it's like
they want to do it. They want to be like a lone ranger situation. Yeah.
But I mean, he did these deals where he can mix his levels and fade audio in and out as he's talking.
Kind of like live in real time.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? But then some of his ideas and what he's willing to do. Right?
In what sense? Like in stuff he's willing to do?
He's always wanted this job.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing is he's from about 15 minutes from where Coach Roll grew up.
Really?
He's a New York guy.
So did he bring up why he wanted this job? Like, because a lot of people I feel like say that in interviews, like, "Oh, this is my dream job."
He's looking iconic. It's
an iconic program.
Yep. And I think now we'll see. People say they like it. I think at his age, I think it was intriguing to him to be ingrained in the community where he could stick around for a while. Like, not gonna mind going to O'Neill or Imperial.
Yeah.
Or
because that's part of it too. Like, people kind of don't understand. Like, it's not just, hey, I call games on Saturdays.
It very much is part of it.
Like 12 times a year.
He is the ambassador.
And then the rest of the year, I just chill and play golf or do whatever. Like, you guys are busy.
He is the ambassador.
I mean, you'd kind of, I've talked to you and Jess and Ben, and like I kind of get a sense of like, oh, you guys are doing stuff all the time.
Yeah, it's
like that's part of the thing.
And I think he has the temperament. I think he has the personality. He's extremely bright. Like it's kind of scary. He blew Troy Dannon away, and I think Dannon's tough.
Yeah, he seems like he could be a tough like a tough judge.
I think he's tough.
Tough to win over.
And then the other thing was, and I have his permission. You know, there's this thing about not being from here, and I think it's nonsense. Because, and it's not just because of Kyle, but it's because of the guy that he's replacing, Sharpie.
I mean, he wasn't from here either.
Wasn't from here. Yeah. He's a K-State guy through and through. I mean, he bled purple, and he grew to love Nebraska. But we have a little bit of revisionist history. He was not well received for the first couple of years.
And he came in at a really challenging time in Nebraska football.
Very challenging, which is coincidentally the reason why he and I hit it off.
Yeah.
Coming in the middle of chaos.
Middle of the season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just kind of what we bonded over. But anyway, and I know we got to talk NBA at 8, so I'm trying to just give the cliffs here. But I think it's important because people talk about a lot about what they don't know. And the thing about you have to be careful of in this media industry in Nebraska is it's pretty tight knit. I mean, you have your sex, and so, I mean, short of hiring Kugler, it was gonna be everybody's gonna have an opinion. But I think we knew that going in. But I think it's important for people to know, and I said this during the interview, and I got an awkward pause, and Jess brought it up last night on Husker Sports Night. I said, guys, we have to remember, we're not trying to hire the next Greg Sharp. We're trying to hire the next play-by-play voice of the Huskers. And we got to do ourselves we're doing ourselves a disservice and Sharpie a disservice if we don't look at it any other way. So I think it changed the dynamics, and it took a little bit of the emotion out, because I'm not going to kid you. The compare and contrast was tough.
Sure.
It was tough. but it's unfair. It wasn't the right thing to do.
And it's not realistic either.
And I do think, I think it was Andy or Jason, one of the two, from Playfly said, guys, because contrary to popular belief, there's a lot of discussion. And it was, hey, we got to remember something. The fan base is extremely knowledgeable, and they understand. It's not like Sharp was fired.
Mm-hmm.
We're not replacing anybody in a contentious situation.
And I do think that matters.
Yeah, and that wasn't even I think it was it Andy? It was one of the two people smarter than me, clearly, but both Playfly guys. And like, hey, I think that's important. There will be some. I'll use the word grace.
Yeah, a little bit of grace.
And so let's not be detoured by needing to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also freeing.
Yeah.
So when we're talking to Kyle, and God bless Ben McLaughlin, I'm kind of like I said, Jess is very malleable, easygoing.
You kind of saw it during the spring games where she was like,
right.
"Oh, we'll figure it out."
She can just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little of both. I have some OCD components, but at the end, because I'm cheering for a positive outcome, like I can endure.
You'll adapt. Yeah.
I can endure. I don't enjoy
Even
it.
if it's not your preference.
But I can endure.
You'll figure
it
out.
Just being part of a team. Like, it's just what you do. And Ben's kind of the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as he's kind of watching this deal, he's like, listen, man, I only have X amount of time. I'm going to get my questions in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was terrified. No, I was. He'll tell you. He will tell you.
Yeah.
One of the first things he said is, how do you handle criticism? It's a big job. People are going to say things to you. They're going to say things about you. Can you read about yourself on social media? And I hadn't even finished my salad. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Like, we're coming in hot.
We're just talking about why this guy loves Edgerrin James. And now
yeah.
Kyle's response to that and his poise was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about connecting with guys out in tractors or doing harvests or needing to run their kids to a sporting event because he understands the sports landscape in the state of Nebraska. His homework that he did was he was talking about our segments during broadcast, and he was calling them by the correct name. He'd say, hey, when you guys do the fifth quarter and you throw it to Coatney when he does the scoreboard updates, some things that I've seen work are, or, hey, maybe when we get down to the field to do X, Y, and Z, we can do this. Then we can fill, we can do a player. His command of what we do was incredible. He knew more about our broadcasts and Husker Sports Nightly than I do, which maybe isn't saying much. But even Jess was like, oh, my God, this dude knows me better than I do. And so you know what his greatest fear was?
What's that?
It wasn't whether he was good enough for the job. This almost broke my heart. But I'm soft. He's like, I was worried about fitting in. He said, you can feel your guys' chemistry. That's what makes the show.
Oh, so he didn't even fitting in the state. He meant with you guys specifically. That's interesting.
The state, he feels like
he can manage.
He can manage that. And it was just cool. And Ben was really honest. He said it bothered Sharpie. He didn't. He said he didn't always handle it well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, first couple years were rough.
But we talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like we fast forward to the end like it was always rainbows and butterflies, and it's just not. And it's kind of like my Amir Abdullah thing.
Yeah.
At running back, like we think we fast forward to the finished product, and so that's what we're looking for, and we forget how we got there.
Yeah.
And it's like, remember, we weren't enamored with him coming out of high school. Why does everybody that we recruit have to be this, and this for it to pan out? It's not always like that.
People assumed that guy was going to end up as a defensive back.
So I'm like,
yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's important, and you'll see some. We can't implement everything that he wanted to do, and we're not making like wholesale swaps. But there'll be some subtle things, that he suggested where we're like, I mean, one of the ideas was good enough for me to reach out to Coach Rule in the interview. It just made fun of me for hijacking the interview, but I was like, hey, before we kick this can down the road any further, let me just see if
is that even possible?
Is this even possible?
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I just need 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Just give me 30 seconds. I'll meet you out in the hallway. I'm with Playfly. And he said a couple of things, but he ended up coming over, and he ended up coming in the interview. And I'm just like, if that isn't a sign, I don't know what is. Because he didn't want to be involved in the process at all.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, but he did make a pit stop.